we can restore that advantage by also going and doing a re-engine. And it's a design that we understand well. We've put it on the shelf for now because we're interested in seeing what a new airplane can offer. Our customers are telling us, like the re-engine, like the fuel efficiency, but if we could get twice the operating cost advantage by going to a new airplane, they're very interested in that, especially if it could come 2, 3, 4 years later. So they would wait for a new aircraft. So we're going through a very disciplined process to make sure we understand the timing, the technology, the costs associated with it, and at the right time we'll show the options to the customer base, and we're going to let them decide.
Continue to answer questions afterwards, but hopefully when you notice the first biggest change is how open the cabin fit is, and that a lot of that has contributed to the way we've arranged the LED lightings that Bev talked about. So right now we have this turned into the boarding configuration, which splashes blue on the ceiling, but then also washes white on the side, so you have more light as you board. I'm going to have our friends at Air Berlin cycle through some of the rest of the lighting so you can see the different effects we can have, but I'll continue to talk about the other features while they're doing that. So this is now the, I forget, okay, takeoff and landing lighting. But if you look at, we made some things that we discovered, as Bev mentioned, and when we studied what makes passengers more comfortable flying on the 787, we discovered some things that we're now applying to the 737. And one of those things is very simple things, like the bins. When people get on that aren't used to flying, they're a little nervous, they're worried about getting their bags up there, and if they don't have to worry about, how do I operate this bin, it takes one stress away from them, and you can see that you can open this bin several ways. You can push, you can pull. It doesn't matter how you pull it, it's going to open. Comes down nice, so nice height. In fact, this height is the same height as our in size as our big bins right now. So you can visualize how the big bins would look on this airplane with the doors opening this way, as opposed to the big bins, or the pivot bins now, that you can still put actually 4 more bags per airplane on this airplane than you can the equivalent 700 with the big bins on. But now you can pivot it up out of the way.
Doesn't the 747 also have pivot bins?
The Dash 8 does, as well as the 777 and the 787 as well. We're all going to that. And as Bev mentioned, I'm 6 foot tall. I can now stand here comfortably in the first row and get out of the way of the aisle and stand here comfortably, not have to hunch over like I would before. Very nice feature.
Okay, well that's a big difference, right?
That is a huge difference,
yeah,
absolutely.
Because you kind of have to, but not in the 747. In the 747 you could actually stand like you do, right?
You could stand a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Higher ceiling. Yeah, I see. This is, like I say, the current bins are more like this, so if I were to have to get out of the way, this is how I'd have to do it on the current bins.
Okay,
on the current chair. Another feature, which you'll have to see when you get up, because it's on the back side here, is because we do have big bins, you can put up to 47 kilograms of weight in here, which for some flight attendants, that might be a little heavy to push up. So we do have a bin assist feature that the flight attendants, once they're ready to close the bins, they can select this button, and that'll actually, that'll actually help them push the bins up. So that 47 kilograms only takes 19 kilograms of pressure to close. Make it much sister. So we've actually thought through that and wanted to make sure it was comfortable for our customers and passengers alike to use that. Another feature that make it more comfortable for the passengers is we've redesigned the passenger service unit. Right now, passengers easily get confused whether to turn on the lights or whether they're calling the flight attendant. Matter of fact, a lot of times they'll call the flight attendant when they're meaning to turn on the light. So we separated that button away from the light switches, put the light switches next to the light, but also made the passenger flight attendant call-out button a different color. So that's a lot more obvious for them to call out the flight attendant. We've put speakers in each passenger service unit as well. So I'm seeming to be the one that always gets right underneath the one speaker that's good for 4 or 5 rows, so it's very loud for me, but people 2 or 3 rows away can't hear as well. We've simplified that by putting a speaker in every row, so it's a much better sound quality.
Sunset?
Yep, so here's the twilight, sunrise, sunset. The other thing we've done is we reshaped the outside walls. So instead of the more square look you see on today's 737s, the Boeing Sky Interior includes more rounding effect around the windows as well as the curvature leading up to the window. Better contours. That is a little bit of a trick you play with the eye, and it actually makes the window appear bigger even though it's the same window in the airplane. What else do I need to point out?
Well, let me ask you a question. I
Sure.
spoke with a flight attendant that flies on Sky Interior Boeings.
Okay.
And what she says that it's extremely good for the passengers. She admits that, but for the cabin crew, with her being like 5 foot tall, maybe a bit higher, it's extremely difficult to reach here, or it's tiring after a couple of rotations, and the pressure. They can feel the difference in pressure. So, what can you say from the cabin crew, from the flight attendant's perspective?
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad to get that feedback. It's anything change is a matter of getting used to. And since on previous single-aisle airplanes, those type of flight attendants are used to just shutting a door. But they're also having the experience trying to find more room for more bags. So we've alleviated some of that because we provide more usable space for them to be able to put bags in. But now they do have to work a little bit more. It is going to, instead of just easily closing the door, the door, they have to push up on the cabin. But again, we have thought about that and put in that bin assist to make it easier for them to do that.